Let's see.
It's time for the Cooper Group's road trip to Remsen. Copper City Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Rome has hooked us up with a new 2007 Jeep Compass, and our compass is pointing north to Welsh country. The historic homes and businesses line what used to be Route 12. In 1798, the village was formed, and within a few years, there was a gristmill, sawmill, blacksmith shop, ashery, and a store. The pioneer spirit and pride of the early Welsh settlers is still felt in the community today. We see red griffins everywhere, the Welsh symbol of strength in the face of adversity. We meet local historian Patricia Hill at the Old Stone Meetinghouse to learn more about these early Welsh immigrants.
What we can see, traveling round.
Our first settlers, many of them were Welsh, and they came to Remsen about 1795 and settled here. And they came to Remsen because Remsen was much like their homeland of Wales. The terrain here and the climate was very good for their farming. So many of them settled outside the village and went into farming, and they built sawmills and tanneries, but they also settled in the village and were blacksmiths and merchants. They built many of our stores. At one time, there were so many Welsh people living here, and many of them had the same name, both first and last name, so they gave them nicknames. And I sometimes tell this to my third grade class because they enjoy it. And an example was there were 3 John Pritchards. One was called Johnny Carpenter, and then there was a Johnny O, a Johnny Y, according to their middle initial. Today we're at Capel Carrig, which means Stone Church in Welsh. It was built in 1831, and today we call it the Stone Meetinghouse. It's the home of the Remsen Steuben Historical Society, and it was purchased in 1989. I've lived in Remsen my entire life, 60 years, and I live here because this is where my family was from. My family goes back to some of the original settlers in Remsen, the Ingersolls, and for generations. My dad grew up here, my grandmother, so it's just the place to be, and it's a great place to live and a great place to visit.
In your imagination, you can go back almost 200 years and picture what it must have been like to be a preacher here, because you were preaching to a balcony and to people out here, and the acoustics are perfect. To have been a minister here would have to have been interesting because of the acoustics, and because your audience is on 2 levels, up in the balcony and down here. You can get a feel for it yourself because the Stone Meetinghouse will be open from May through October, every 3rd Monday at 7 o'clock, and it's also open on Saturdays during that period of time from 1 until 4. Come on out here because it's fascinating.
Have you seen my mind today? I think I lost it going your way, so I cried.
During our travels through Remsen, we found out that one of these years ago was found in a local church here. Do you know what it is? Stay tuned and we'll tell you at the end of the show.
Because we ain't got no other reason why we fight.
Not only is there no law north of Remsen, there is only one lawyer in Remsen, and it's Jim Mosman, and he was an intern in my office when I was DA back in 1974, right?
Yes.
See how things come full circle. Fortunately for the Mohawk Valley, Jim has refurbished this building, which was originally the post office in Remsen, and this was the original customer window.
The Remsen community's pride in their past can be seen in their vision for the future. Part of that future begins here at the Remsen Train Depot.
Tucked away in a little corner of Remsen is a depot, a train depot. It can be visited by going to the website and finding out dates that it's open and hours and the like. You may want to come up here because it really is a slice of history. Supposedly, and I guess this is more than just legend, I think it's probably fact, when the Welsh came to this country and they arrived in New York City, they would say, well, if this is New York City, what must Remsen City be like? And it has forever been called, since then, Remsen City. And there is a Welsh population here that is charming. We have someone here with us this morning who is going to pronounce something for me because I can't pronounce it myself. There's a project that is going to be started here at the depot that you'll be hearing more about from Al Haywood in a moment. And it is going to be called, what is it? Oh, by the way, this is Caroline Williams, a genuine Welsh person, right? So Caroline is going to tell us what this project is because it's really exciting. What's it called?
This is Tequaith Creft in Remsen, and it is the House of Craftsmanship in Remsen. And we're hoping to do some economic development based on Welsh heritage of the area.
That's great. And you can come here now and see the plans for it, and also visit this lovely depot while you're at it, and then check out the rest of Remsen City.
Well, we're standing in the Remsen Depot. This is a recreation of the original station, or actually a recreation of the third station. The first two had been burned down. The near central tore the third one down. And the community in 1999 built this replica as close as we could to the original. This railroad location, the tracks are just here to my right. This used to be the middle of a very busy railroad yard. There were approximately 60 trains a day coming up from Utica and up from Herkimer, and behind me going north to Lake Placid in Montreal, and also another track going up to Watertown. So it's a very busy little spot. Today there's two railroads that pass by on this track. There's a freight railroad that we just waved to, and then there is the Adirondack Scenic Railroad that runs from Utica to Thandera Old Forge. And this is one of their major stops along the route. This is going to be the anchor, I would say. We are going to create a small village of made in Wales and made in New York handicraft shops. The idea is that within a few years we'll have a small village of shops reminiscent of a small upstate New York community back in 1900 that had a very Welsh heritage.
I think I lost it going your way, so I cried. The winds of wind.
When you're driving down Old Route 12 through the village of Remsen, stop at the corner of Prospect and Main Street and go into the Remsen Country Bakery, because you're going to be in for a treat both with your lunch and then what you have after lunch. The baked goods here are incredible.
Remsen Country Bakery, and it's been here about 15 years. I always baked for my kids when they were in school, and my husband and I bought a donut machine, and the marching band needed uniforms. So the kids took orders and we made donuts. People liked the donuts, and after they had their uniforms, they didn't need it anymore, but the people still wanted us to make them. So we did restaurants, and then Charlie owned the bakery. It was a pizza shop. So we kind of hooked up together and opened it. We do pizzas and wings, calzones, salads, subs, sandwiches, just about anything you need. I like the people. I like the kids. We have a good crowd of kids that come in after school, and I like them. So we're busy. The hours are horrid.
Yeah.
It is said about town that Charlie's specialty is his wealth of knowledge, but there's one thing he's not going to share with you, and that's his secret donut recipe. I can tell you this though, when you try it, you don't need to know what's in it because it's fantastic. What's not in these donuts? There's no cholesterol and there's no trans fat. So if you want to try them, Charlie has made an offer. If you come in this week, you buy one, you get one free. Buy a dozen, get a dozen free.
The Didymus Thomas Library is a beautiful landmark on Main Street and will soon be celebrating its 100th anniversary. When you enter the library, you are surrounded by beautiful woodwork and 4 regal pillars of wood with ornate cornices. Named in memory of Lydia Francis's father, Didymus is Greek for twin, and Thomas means twin in Aramaic. As anyone who has traced their lineage to Remsen knows, it becomes very difficult, as many Welsh family members had the same name and similar first and last names. The library serves as a resource to research your family's heritage and is also home to the Snow Country Quilters. Believe it or not, there's even a shooting range in the basement where the BB Gun Club meets every Tuesday. We'll be back to Remsen and north to Forestport next week. On our way back down Route 12, we stop in to do some antique shopping at Touchable Memories. Here you can shop for antiques and collectibles or take advantage of their glass grinding and polishing services. They're open from 10 to 5.